Altheris, are we really controlled by a small group of individuals and companies, or is it an illusion that we're telling ourselves that we're controlled?
It is an illusion. The reason it is an illusion is because it is for you to decide whether or not you buy something or whether you become involved in something. Their power and control, the power and control structure that is out there, only exists because you give it energy. We're not just talking about you as in one person, but vast amounts of people give energy to that which is the power and control structure. The power has the ability to start sucking energy from people unless there is some consciousness around what is occurring to the energy that you hold for yourself and where it is being taken. For instance, if you look at the day that you have, the vast majority of people, they go to work. They go to work for a company, and the company takes energy from them. It is part of the structure that you have created in life. But you have a choice as to where you go to work. You have a choice as to what you do in terms of the work that you do. What gives you pleasure? What are your passions? If you are in a job that does not fill you with energy, then it is for you consciously to remove yourself from that and put yourself in something that is more sustaining. So, on that basis, you are not controlled, but you have the illusion of being controlled because you have built around you a framework that relies on other people providing things for you. So you have free choice. You have freedom of choice that you can bring in and decide how it is you want to live your life. And if you want to change it, then go ahead and change it. It's important for you to understand that you can change it. Do not be caught within the influence of people that say that you cannot change.
As an individual, making those changes and stepping outside what some have deemed to be the law, there are consequences.
Of course there are consequences.
I think that needs to be mentioned because the consequence could be, if you don't pay your council tax or you don't do things in a certain way, that you could end up in court, you could end up in prison. How do we actually step outside of the control issues and yet maintain our actual physical freedom?
Well, what is important is that, as we have said before, that you come together with a number of different people that are resonating at the same place. So, for instance, your council tax. Of course, at this moment in time, the human framework, the social structure, says that if you do not pay your council tax, then you could be fined or you could be put in prison, for instance. That is the way that people have designed the system in order to maintain that which is the illusion of the power and control system, the value of money. It is the flow of money that is the source energy of the power and control structure. But if you decide that you do not wish to be part of that, then you can step out of it, but of course you will be subject to the nature of the power and control framework. However, the more of you that do it, the more that you collect together and say, at this particular moment in time, you are not going to pay the council tax because you do not feel that you are subject to it. You do not feel that you are subject to the law of the land. You are born, for instance, seemingly into a framework which you cannot remove yourself from. But what you can do is you can stop paying. But of course you then have to change the nature of your life in order to not become caught up in the after effect mechanism of those trying to recover what seemingly you owe them as money or council tax. You do not have to pay it.
And yet, if enough people come together to not only not pay it, but also suggest another way for humanity to exist.
That is the important aspect that is often missing in terms of why people do things. They do things because it has an impact of the nature of their life and how they live. So, for instance, if there was no council tax, then there would be more money in their pocket for them to do something else. So there is a friction between should they pay their council tax or should they not, and do something else. But what is important, the piece that is missing, is the realistic alternatives to how society can, if that is your desire, to maintain itself and in a particular way, the way that it is choosing to live. What we would suggest is that you move more into community, that you move more into self-governance, self-reliance, self-sovereignty, being within the nature of one another's energy, and start to protect one another from that which is the outside influence. It is not beyond a person to declare independence from humanity.
Like individual parishes, you mean?
Or countries that declare independence from the country that they were once part of. That happens at a national level. There's no reason why that cannot happen at a parish level or even at an individual level. It is just a matter of somebody making the stand, confronting that which is what is seemingly the law to keep them within the power and control structural framework, and confronting it and saying this is not right, and generating enough energy from other people to support that.
So how do you suggest that we do actually come together? Because then so many people feel this way.
Well, what is the difficulty, of course, is firstly, there are so many different things that people feel differently about, want it to be different. But there is disagreement as to the actual alternative to that which can be put in place. So it is firstly understanding what needs to be changed, what you and those that resonate at the same vibrational frequency as you, what they desire to change, and that you all agree that it needs changing. So for instance, if it is council tax, then you are all in agreement that council tax needs to be changed. You then, of course, have to come up with an alternative. So the alternative is that you all congregate together as a community in what is defiance of that which is the law or legal framework that is currently in place, and say, no, assert your individual rights, your individual independence, your individual freedom, because you are a free spirit, you are a free human being living on this planet. There was not council tax 1,000 or 100,000 years ago on your planet. It has been brought up, it has been created out of nothing. You can return to nothing. Of course, you would not want to return to that which is the lifestyle of a Neanderthal.
No.
But in terms of the alternatives, it is for you and other people that resonate at that vibrational frequency to create a sustainable way of living in the world, getting your basic needs met in the way that you as a community desire, not just you as an individual.
How would you suggest that that money is raised for some of the important things that do get paid for out of the council tax, for example?
Such as?
Lighting, refuse collection, those kind of things.
Well, in terms of the nature of lighting, for instance, then there is free energy. Energy is available freely from the sun and from the wind and from the waves, from the earth itself in terms of its magnetic core. And utilising that and having that freely available to people. Of course, in community there are jobs to be done in terms of collecting the rubbish and taking it to a recycling centre or whatever it is that you do. So there are ways in terms of creating a new framework within the framework that is already existing, such that once it is in place you can then remove it and place it anywhere in the world.
And is this what happens on other planets in the higher civilizations, that they work as independent communities?
The maximum, we would say, in terms of that which is a community is 10,000, more or less in terms of those numbers. But if you become more than that, then of course what tends to happen is power and control starts to seep back into the nature and the desire of the ego, because over a certain number of people, then injustices start to arise, unfairness starts to arise, and so the ego begins to kick back in.
Altheris, that seems really helpful. I think a lot of people will start to look at how they can really stand fast with their beliefs and how they desire to live their lives, and start to group together with others that feel the same, so that we can actually start to evoke this change.
This is important, that people do not feel that they are alone in terms of the nature of their values, the nature of their own judgments of themselves as to how they desire their life. Do not look at yourself as an individual, but look at yourself as part of the community. There are many people out there that resonate with what it is that you desire and how the way that you would like to live your life.
Thank you.